what we're going to look for mainly is the application process and how they look at the end. And that hopefully will help you determine which one is the best for you and for your project. But we know that price wise, they're the same. So that is not going to be a factor in deciding which one is the best. Today we're doing another testing video. If you want to waterproof your fabric and you don't know which one of these products is the best, we're going to test them today. We're going to test Odicoat and we're going to test this liquid vinyl. So we're going to cover application. The method for the application, we're going to compare to see which one is easier or not so easy, or is it the same? And after the application, and following, of course, the manufacturer's instructions, we are going to compare the fabrics and see if there is a big difference between the two products. These are liquid gel, that's what they're called, and then you have the two different brands. The price of these is very similar. It's about $12 and few cents in between the two. So in that sense, price wise, really there's no difference. They both say that they will leave the fabric with an oil cloth effect. So that means the fabric will be shiny, very shiny when it's done. However, depending on the number of applications, I've noticed based on the instructions when I was reading them, if you only put one coat, it's less oily looking than if you put 2 or 3 coats. So we're going to test that. We're going to try Odicoat first, and then we're going to do the liquid vinyl, and we're going to compare them. So in order to get started, this is what we're going to use. So for this test, we're going to use quilting cotton because it's the most common type of fabric that you usually want to waterproof. I have 3 pieces of my purple quilting cotton here, and these pieces are 5 inches by 7 inches, and I have 3 of my gray fabric here. Exactly the same fabric, just different colors. For the purple, I'm going to use the Odicoat, and for the gray, I'm going to use the liquid vinyl. For the application, on the Odicoat instructions, it says that you need a spatula. So I'm going to use this little spatula. I purchased this from the Dollar Tree. If you have a Cricut machine or something that you do, heat transfer vinyl or permanent vinyl, most likely you have a little tool like this one. If not, just go to the dollar store. However, make sure that you get something that is firm and not a silicone spatula. For the liquid vinyl, you are going to use a foam brush. That's what the instructions say. For both of these, I have a silicone pad here to protect my table from, any drops that may fall or whatever. And something very important is to keep a washcloth with water or go to the sink and rinse this off immediately after using them because you don't want to damage your tools. Parchment paper is needed when you apply the liquid vinyl. Also, if you want to press your fabric after you've applied your gel coating, you will need parchment paper. So keep a piece of parchment paper handy. I keep this handy all the time because when I apply the fusible interfacing and everything, I like to put it to protect my iron. Also, it's not a bad idea to protect your hands with some gloves. I have this latex gloves that I keep handy. The instructions don't say to use gloves, but if you have sensitive skin, it's always safe. You know, it's always best. So keep them handy if you need them. Before we get started, you want to make sure your fabric is flat, that there are no wrinkles. So this one, for example, has wrinkles here. So I'm just going to press it really quickly. And of course, let it cool down. But you want to make sure your fabric is flat. We want to prevent any bubbles or any creases not picking up the, the gel. And if you need to steam it, you steam it right now. Don't press the steam later. This is the time. We're going to apply Odicoat first. And I am going to take my little spatula and just apply a thin coat on each one of the three fabrics, okay? The same for all three. It's a little uncomfortable, not really easy, to be honest with you, with this little spatula. I don't know if I should try another spatula. I don't think a bigger spatula will fit in the container, so. And it has to be a thin layer. So, okay. I'm gonna use another foam here, brush to kind of take some of it out. I don't know. I like the foam brush, but I don't want it to leave any marks. So I'm already breaking the rules of this application, but maybe I should try with this other spatula. I'm just gonna put, there you go. I'm just gonna do that. That's probably easier. So a bigger spatula. And it's supposed to be a thin line. I mean a thin coat. So that looks thin enough for me. I make sure I cover all my corners. Now I'm going to do the same for the other one. Just grab a little bit there and try spreading it as much as you can. I'm just gonna put some on the actual fabric, just a little bit like that. See, because it doesn't even drop like easily. It's a gel, it's a thick gel. So I don't know if that is too much, but I'm going to give this a try like this. And just get it to every corner of the fabric. Okay, that's a thin coat. And the next one. Same thing. I still have some left over in my spatula. So the instructions say to let it dry fully before you apply the second coat if you're applying more than one coating. So We'll let it dry and I'll come back and tell you how long it took for it to fully dry. And in the meantime, don't forget, take this to the sink and rinse it off. So it's been about an hour and the fabric is pretty dry. And let me share with you my super fancy labeling system that I came up with so that I can mark how many layers of Odicoat each fabric has. So this one has 1 layer. This one I'm going to add 2 more layers. And this one I'm going to add just 1 more layer. So at the end, this one is only gonna have 1 layer. This one's gonna have 2 layers and 3 layers. Now we're going to continue. And what I'm going to do is add the second layer of Odicoat to the other 2 pieces of fabric, and the one that will only have 1 layer, I'm just gonna put aside, okay? So let's do that. So here's the one that I'm going to leave just with 1 layer of Odicoat. So I'm going to take my label and put it aside. And we're going to do the exact same process for the other 2 pieces, the one with 2 layers and the one with 3 layers. So let's go ahead and continue. I'm just gonna put a little bit of that gel coating on here, like this, and use the spatula to spread it evenly again. And I can see because of the light, so make sure you have a lamp or something, because it will help you see with the reflection of the gel coating and the light if you're missing an area of your fabric. The gel coating is shiny, right? Because it's wet, and the light will help you kind of notice if there's something missing, if there's an area that is missing. You definitely don't want to have any bumps of gel coating. You want it to be as smooth as possible. Now we're just going to wait another hour, hour and a half approximately, for these 2 pieces of fabric to completely dry. And I'm going to take this to the sink and rinse that off. It's been a little bit longer than an hour and a half, but I can tell you that these were dry. It took about an hour and a half for them to be dry. So let's go ahead and add the 3rd layer of gel coating to that 1 piece of fabric that is going to take the 3 coatings, okay? Let's do that. So I'm gonna take the one that has 2 coats of the Odicoat, and I'm just gonna put it aside. And let's go ahead and do the same for the last one, the one with the 3 layers. And again, I'm just going to dump a little bit of the gel on the fabric here, and with the spatula, spread it as thin of a coating as I can get. Make sure your surface is flat, because you don't want to have any bumps or bubbles build up on your fabric here. Okay, it looks pretty thin of a coating for me right here. Very, very thin. And I have leftover gel. I'm just gonna put it back in the container because it's quite a bit. Yeah, you don't want to have a lot of gel build up on your fabric. It really has to be a thin coating. Okay. Now we just have to wait again for this last layer to dry. However, the instructions say to do up to 3 layers. So this is the last layer that we can apply to the fabric, and the Odicoat is not going to be fully cured until 24 hours after the last coat. So technically, even if it dries in an hour and a half, it's not recommended to use it or make anything with this fabric until 24 hours from now. So tomorrow I will show you the last look of these 3 pieces of fabric. However, we still have one more test to run, which is the liquid vinyl. So we're going to do that next. Consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel if you have learned something today. So for this step, we are going to start the exact same way as we did with the Odicoat. We're going to add 1 thin layer of this gel coating to each piece of fabric. So let's do that, and we are going to use a foam brush for this step. Here's my vinyl, liquid vinyl, actually brand new, so okay. And I'm just gonna get some on the brush like that and start spreading it. A very thin layer. And the third one, again, just grab a little bit like this. You see that much? I think that's plenty. Okay, so the instructions say now to wait 30 to 45 minutes for this 1 layer to dry. I don't think it's gonna fully dry in 30 to 45 minutes, but that's what it says. Wait 30 to 45 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer now, and I'll come back in, and we'll come back in 30 to 45 minutes and do the next step. And now that the 30 to 45 minutes time has passed, here's the next step that is a little bit different than when applying the gel coating using the Odicoat brand. This time we have to press the fabric using a hot iron and a medium setting, and this is when we're going to use the parchment paper. Now you can also use heating press paper, I think it's called, or those Teflon sheets. You can use those things, but I have regular parchment paper and that works just fine. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I have my 3 pieces of fabric here, they're dry, and I have my parchment paper. I'm gonna do one by one. So pick one of them and make sure that you have parchment paper below the fabric on the wrong side and over the fabric where you put the gel coating. And with the medium high, you're going to just press for 45 seconds. And as you can see, I have this silicone mat that is heat resistant. So that really helps with this process, because they recommend that you find a hard surface. They say not to use your ironing mat or your ironing table. You can, if you have a heat press mat, you can also use that. But since I don't have one, the silicone mat works just as well. Okay, now let's do the same for the other two pieces. Also make sure that your iron has no steam whatsoever. So I'm going to choose one of these three pieces of fabric, whichever it is, and I'm going to put another label on that one, labeling it as the one with one coating or one layer of heat and bond, and I'm going to put it aside. Then I have my other two pieces here, which I'm going to apply another coat of heat and bond. So using the same mat that I have here, making sure it is cooled down. I'm gonna flip it to the other side. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to take my brush. Now, one thing I noticed is that the brush that I used first still kind of damp after I rinsed it off. So I grab a new one, which is the one we're going to use now. Now we're going to wait another 30 to 45 minutes for this to dry and follow the same process. Press each one of these pieces of fabric for 45 seconds with an iron in medium heat setting, no steam. So now we have the two pieces of fabric. We waited 45 minutes, they're pressed. I'm going to pick one of them and just create my super handy label that says it has 2 layers, and I'm going to put it aside and do the same for the final one. It's the exact same process. For every layer of gel coating that you add for heat and bond, you have to put the layer, wait 30 to 45 minutes, and then press it. And that is the process, no matter how many layers of gel and gel coating you're adding to the fabric. So let's go ahead and finish this up by adding our last layer, layer number 3, to this little piece of fabric. After this step, we're going to do this last step, which is wait 30 to 45 minutes, press it just like we have done before, and we wait 24 hours for the gel coating to be fully cured before you can wash it, launder it. I also recommend waiting, that time, 24 hours, to actually stitch the fabric. Make sure that it's fully cured. Once we do this final step, then we can compare all the pieces of fabrics, the Odicoat and the HeatnBond, to see what's the difference. Okay, so what are the differences between Odicoat and HeatnBond? First of all, let's start with the consistency of the two gel coatings. They have the exact same consistency and the exact same smell. Okay, like there's hardly any smell. Like really, you have to be very sensitive to kind of smell it. I am very sensitive, that's why I could pick up on it, but it's not strong at all. So consistency wise is exactly the same. Application. Odicoat recommends a spatula. HeatnBond says a foam brush. I think the foam brush is easier. It's easier to apply. It's easier to control how much you are applying, because you do have to put a very thin coat. So in that sense, I think HeatnBond is best. But you probably can use a foam brush to apply Odicoat as well, I'm sure. When it comes to the application process, if you don't want to wait the full, however many hours to apply Odicoat, and you want to do it faster, with HeatnBond you can press it after 30-45 minutes. It's not fully cured at that time, but you finish curing it with the hot iron. Where with Odicoat you have to wait longer, and you don't apply the heat. However, I noticed that when applying the heat for HeatnBond, for example, my fabric turned out to be matte looking. It's not as smooth, it feels rough, and it's not shiny at all. This is the one coat of HeatnBond, and this is the one coat of Odicoat, and I don't know if you can see, but there is a sheen with the Odicoat that HeatnBond doesn't have. The two coats, again, you add the heat to it, and it gives it the sheen because it has two coats, but not as much as Odicoat, and it gives it a rough feeling to the touch. But Odicoat is so much smoother and shinier. Even though it's only two coats, it's definitely shinier. And the three coats of HeatnBond and Odicoat is like super shiny, very, very shiny, very smooth. Odicoat has the shine at this point. When you get to three coats, you see the shine, but it has a matte look to it. It's not as shiny. It has like a sheen, not a shine. Okay, so that is mainly the difference. So if you like more of that matte look or sheen look, then definitely HeatnBond will be the one for you. I don't know if applying heat to Odicoat, if it will have the same effect. I have a feeling that it will, or that by not applying heat to HeatnBond, that you will have the same effect as Odicoat, like very shiny. So that may be something, another test for another day. So now let me show you how it works when we add water to it. We're going to start with the fabric that has one coat. So Odicoat, one coat, HeatnBond, one coat. And I'm going to spray a little bit of water here on the corner and wait and see how long it takes for it to kind of filter to the back of the fabric. And it's still kind of dry. I mean, the water's just there. It's a little, just waiting. The water is not coming through. I'm waiting for it to come through, and it's just now starting to feel like it's coming through the other side. Okay, now let's do the stream of water here on the opposite corner. Yeah, it's definitely feeling wet over here already in that corner. Okay, now here the back of the, I have a dry corner here, and from the back wow, it doesn't take long for it to get wet. It feels wet. It feels kind of sticky, but yeah, it's feeling wet, but not damp. Let's do the same with the HeatnBond one. Actually, I'm gonna start with like the center here, dry from the back. And it's taking a little while for the water to go through the fabric, but yeah, it's wet, and it's wet on the other side. But it's wet, but it doesn't feel the same wet as this side. It just feels like it does have a little bit of a barrier. Then from the front, look, the little bit of water, it is sliding. Look, you see that? And let's see the stream of water here. The water doesn't like go down immediately. You see, there's water still there, sitting there. And it looks dry on the back. And here, still looks dry. The center, definitely not. But when I put the water on this corner, looks still dry. And on this corner, still dry on the back. So, Odicoat 2 coats. Shiny, okay. In the back, in the center. And it's taking a minute for the water to come through, actually. It's coming through, but it's taking a while. Look at that. But, okay. It's coming through, but it's taking a little longer than with one coat. So now I'm going to test this corner right here. Look at the water. You see that? It slides. Let me see. Not wet yet. Nope. And the water just stay there. So now let's do this other corner with the stream of water. The water is sitting in there again, but it's still dry. Here at the bottom that we spray the water, starting to show on the other side. This one definitely, but this one it's starting to show as well. But it takes a little bit longer, okay? So that's the 2 layers of Odicoat. Now let's test the 2 layers of Heat and Bond. And so we're going to test from the back. See, oh, it's immediately getting the water spraying fast, and it feels wet already in the front. Okay, so this corner I'm gonna test the stream of water. The water's there, and it's not coming through just yet. It's still dry. Interesting. And then on this side I'm going to spray it. And look, dry and dry. So starting to get a little wet there, but look, dry, pretty neat. So it does hold the water a little bit better. Okay, so that's the 2 coats of Heat and Bond. Now let's do the 3 coats of Odicoat. Look how shiny it is. Wow. Okay, from the back, put some water. I'm waiting. Still not coming through. Let's do this corner. Look at that. It's like the water is just sitting there, like it doesn't come through, like it doesn't go through. And then on the other end, I'm gonna do the stream of water. The water sitting there. Okay, let's flip it. And look, the center is wet. This is the pointy with the stream of water. Nothing. And this is the pointy side when I spray the water. Nothing. It's not, the water's not coming through. This is 3 coats. And the last one, 3 coats of Heat and Bond. We're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna spray it on the back just a little bit and see how long it takes. Whew, that's fast. It went through fast. Oh, and it looks wet here in the front, fast. Okay, so let's do this corner with the stream of water. Wow, you can't even tell that there's water went through that. I mean, nothing. Wow. And this corner with the spray. Okay, let's wait. And here's the back. Nothing. Dry and dry. Dry and dry. Completely dry. It's not, nothing's happening. Wow. Nice. And for the final test, we are going to add a fusible interfacing to all 6 of these, okay? One with 1 coat, 2 coats, 3 coats, and the different brands, Odicoat and HeatnBond. So I have a little piece of parchment paper, so I don't want to, you know, risk and damage my wool mat here. But we're going to start and to add the fusible interfacing, and I'm not going to add fusible interfacing to the entire piece, just a little in one little corner. Okay, let me flick the camera so that you can see. So we're going to start with the Heat and Bond. This is the 1 coat, 2 coats, and 3 coats. And I'll be honest with you, this is still kind of wet. It feels kind of damp a little bit, but I'm going to try anyway. This is the 1 coat, and I'm going to cover it because I don't want to risk getting any of the fusible things on my iron. And just press the entire thing. Okay. Perfect. Now let's try the Odicoat. And so we're going to start with the one coat. It almost feels like it lost a little bit of its shine, but I don't know, maybe it's my head. Okay, so we have, that works. This is with 2 coats. Getting less shiny, and it took kind of like the shape, the wrinkly of this paper. This paper is not, you know, I've used it a couple of times already, so it's getting wrinkled, and it picked up that. But I mean, you can add fusible interfacing, but it is less shiny. This side is less shiny than this side. Okay, let's do the 3 coats and see what's the big difference. Yep, it worked just fine, but oh my gosh, it definitely lost its shine. Like you can tell here, it's not shiny anymore, and here is super shiny. And look, here it's like it has that sheen again, and here is shiny. And there you have it, guys. We have officially finished testing the differences between Odicoat waterproof gel coating and HeatnBond liquid vinyl. And I have to say they're exactly the same thing. Like, I truly do not see the big difference. The only thing I say is that we just tested. If you want to have the shiny look, do not iron it. The moment you press it, it will lose the shine. It will be like a matte. And this is the Odicoat one, and you know, we didn't press it until it was time to add the interfacing. The HeatnBond one, the instruction says to press it, so that automatically makes it lose the shine. So my idea that it's kind of the same. If we press Odicoat, it's going to not be shiny anymore. I proved it to be right, because here it is. So truly, it's just a matter of preference. If you want to apply it, use a spatula or a foam brush, which I think it doesn't matter. You can use either one. Or if you want to press it or wait, you know, because you're in a rush and you don't want to wait, you know, an hour or 2 for it to dry before you apply the next coat, like on Odicoat. Or if you just want to kind of apply the next coat in the next 30 minutes, then you can press it. Now we know that we can do that. And when it comes to, is the fabric waterproof or not, you know, I think it's more water resistant than waterproof. Okay, waterproof is like the water does not go through. The water did go through eventually, not a lot, because I didn't put a lot of water. So Waterproof, maybe not, but yes, water resistance definitely. And maybe, you know, makes it easier to clean if you're using this. If you want to add this gel coating for the inside of a makeup bag and you know you have some makeup that's spilled, you can just wipe it clean. That will make it easier, you know, things like that. But I don't think it's 100% waterproof. Like I don't think so, but more like water resistant. And if you want to see another video that I have where I share with you like the difference between Odicoat and the actual fusible vinyl, check out the next video right here. I'll see you there. Ciao.